SEO secrets, attend the 13th annual SEO Rockstars event on November 5 through 7th in Las Vegas. Struggling to get your site on the top of Google? Feeling overwhelmed with outdated tactics? Missing out on crucial traffic and leads? Imagine increasing revenue effortlessly. Join me and hundreds of SEO pros at SEO Rockstars 2024. Learn from industry legends like Jerry West, Ted Kobitis, Holly Starks, and more, sharing proven strategies that work. Hands-on workshops, actionable insights, and unparalleled networking. Limited spots are available. Don't miss out. Register today at SEORockstars.net. Use code SEO Show or click the link below and get $200 off instantly. Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show. Today, we got our very special guest, Edward Baker, and we'll be talking about e-commerce SEO. Let me go ahead and actually fix this here. All right. So Ed, you can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, man. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Love it. Everyone, just don't forget to say hi in the live chat. Let me know where you guys are watching from. It's going to be a good one. We have an e-commerce SEO Masterclass. And we're not just going to talk about SEO just itself. We're going to talk about like the right e-commerce businesses, right? The right e-commerce business to start with and like all about e-commerce and how you can be successful. Ed, where are you actually calling from?
I live in upstate New York, Albany, New York, the capital most people don't know about.
Love it. Guys, we got about 9 more minutes to go. Sit back, everyone, trickle in. If you guys be sure to get your questions ready, and I will address them in the order that they are received. Please keep them on the topic of e-commerce. We have Kenneth. What's up, Ed and Dre?
What's up, Kenneth?
Oh, yeah. So how do you actually know Marco?
I actually run with his crew of SEOs, the Heavy Hitter Club. I've learned a lot from him. He's been a mentor to me. So, yeah, Marco and Rob, I've learned a ton of SEO and I guess we'll say digital marketing techniques from. So, known him for about 2.5 years now.
Love it. Thank you for Marco for the introduction. And guys, if you ever want to become a guest here on the SEO Video Show, a referral from a past guest is a great way to get on here, because some people always ask, how do you get on the show? Like, right, I don't have any applications. I go out and search for them, and I also will take referrals from past guests. Kobe says, happy Friday, y'all.
TGIF.
Oh yeah. So it's about late afternoon for you now, right? Well, it's about mid-afternoon, I guess.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
There we go. So too early
we
for
a wicked rainstorm though, so I'm happy to be doing this because I don't want to be out there. Unfortunately, not good weather today.
Anastasia says, "How's it going, fellas? It's going well." Yeah, it's lovely here in California. It's one of those.
I lived in Irvine, California for years, man, so I know paradise, believe me.
Yeah.
San Diego, Irvine. Where are you out of?
I'm out of Oakland, California. Well, actually, my office is out of Oakland, but I live in the Napa Valley area.
Oh, well, that's beautiful, too. Can't complain. I did a short period up in Livermore, California.
Nice. Yeah, Livermore. I used to actually work for a company called Workday, and it was right off of their main office is right in Pleasanton, right off that 680.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm curious. When I was reading your bio, you said you had 4,000 events. What was that about? You said you served 4,000 events, all these countries. What is that?
So I've been in events since I was 19 years old, and I started like organically. I started as a nightclub promoter, then I kind of got into the photography, then I got into the online marketing of those photographs that were taking place in the clubs, and then I got pulled into event rentals, and then eventually from event rentals I got hooked on the whole e-com idea because I knew how to use all the equipment, I knew how to set up, I knew how to run events, and now all I did was just help other people do it from my living room or office.
Love it. That's how I got started. I mean, I used to run events in San Francisco. I used to rank number 1 for San Francisco Party, San Francisco Nightlife, New Year's Eve San Francisco. Those were all my money keywords that actually drove so much traffic into my guest list when I was throwing parties out in San Francisco.
Sweet.
When you were out in Livermore, did you ever go out to the city, like a party out in San Francisco? Yeah, so I used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's not much to do in Livermore, so you gotta go.
Ernesto says, yo. Yeah, so I used to have a night at City Nights. City Nights, I used to run City Nights. They gave me every... City Nights was an 18 up club, one of the most popular ones back in the days. But yeah, I wonder if it's still around. Did you ever go to City Nights?
Google that. No, I didn't, but you have to Google that.
Oh, Nesto, yo, what's up, my man? I see a bunch of you guys out there. Don't be shy. We got about 5 more minutes to go. Get your shouts out. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you guys get your questions ready, we have a really great topic today. We're talking about e-commerce SEO with Edward Baker. Oh, I saw someone pop in there. Was that Stefan? Was that you, Stefan? Let me see here. Yeah, Stefan, my man. Happy Friday. A little late today, huh? Stefan's been watching the show since day one, and he's usually the first one to comment.
We like those super loyal people, don't we?
Love it. Stefan's my man. We got to get you on here, Stefan. I would love to interview you and see how you're doing in SEO. I mean, you've been learning a lot from here. You've been here since day one, so I would love to talk to you. So let me know. Hit me up. Dre at SEO.video. Dre at SEO.video. That'll be a first. I've never had someone that was just like I found actually just watching and have them come on as a guest.
I mean, if he's been here from day one, then you owe it to him, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, I really want to know more about him, like genuinely.
There we go. Well, right in, man, right?
Man, YouTube keeps trying to insert ads in my freaking stream. I have to always keep canceling it. Luther says hi. Do you go to any conferences? Like, have you been to like any SEO conferences?
You know, I haven't done a lot of SEO conferences, but I have done a lot of conferences in general because I was saying, living out west, I lived in Vegas for a couple of years too.
Oh, there you go.
I was at 2-3 trade shows a week.
Oh, that's why. That's how you got to 4,000. I'm like, how do you get to 4,000 events? I don't get it.
Yeah, catalyst for sure.
Hey guys, happy Friday. Maddox, happy Friday to you. Victor says, loves today's topic. I love it too. We don't have that much e-commerce SEO experts on here, so this is gonna be a good one. And we've actually structured this to like really help everyone out here. I want to make sure that you guys get your notebooks ready and your questions ready. All right. So, and on the Heavy Hitters Club, is that Marco? Does that Marco have a mastermind or something like that? And you're a part of that, or is it kind of like, okay, got it?
Yeah, so he's got a free group, he's got a paid group, and then an even more selective paid group. So he's got a couple tiers of educational masterminds in there. Yep. Got it. Yeah. So I haven't heard from Marco in a while, so I was like, hey, you know what? Let's talk again. So he's actually gonna come on next week, just to see what he's doing now, what he's doing in SEO. Awesome. Lucy says hi. Hi, Lucy. We got about 2 more minutes to go. Don't be shy, guys. Let me know where you're watching from. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put you on mute for now. So you mentioned you watched a couple episodes. So like in the very beginning, I actually go over a few clips, and then I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you into the show right after. I'm a planner and a preparer, man. So yeah, love it. Yeah, no, I mean sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes it's kind of cool if the person doesn't watch because there's certain things I do. They're like, what? Right. Yeah. But that's cool though. So thank you for watching. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you mute, and I'll see you in about 8 minutes. If you guys are just tuning in, we have Edward Baker, and we'll be talking about SEO for e-commerce, which is going to be a great topic for today.
get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show. Hey!
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of Content Maxima, Edward Baker. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Lucy, Victor, Maddox, Luther, Stefan, Hannah, Ernesto, Anastasia, Kobe, Kenneth. Welcome everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
Hey Dre, why do SEOs love the farmer's market? Lots of organic content.
Does Google crawling frequency indicate site quality? Let's check this out.
I mean, in one of the presentations that we keep doing Search Central live events, that is actually about myth busting, and it has at least 1 or 2 questions about crawling, and then it's like, oh, Google is crawling my site a lot, so my site must be very good, and it's like, nah, not really. Like, it can mean many things. But generally, if a site is or the content of a site is of high quality and it's helpful and people like it in general, then Google tends to crawl more from that site. But it can also mean that, I don't know, the site was hacked and then there's a bunch of new URLs that Googlebot gets excited about, and then it goes out and it's crawling like crazy. Or we discover John's calendar script, and then we try to crawl every single URL for every day until 2077. So it can mean other things as well than just quality. But then on the flip side, if we are not crawling much, or we are gradually slowing down with crawling, that might be a sign of low quality content, or that we rethought the quality of the site.
If Google's not crawling your site as frequently as you want, there's some tools that can actually help. One tool that comes to mind is Colinkri, which has been my SEO tools within my SEO tool stack for years. Okay, Nathan Gotch, #1 local SEO tactic. Let's just check this one out.
With that in mind, if you're trying to compete here, you have to at least have pest control in there. Ideally, you would also have the location in there. So that way you'd build out this microsite that specifically focuses on St. Louis, okay? And that's really the best thing that you can do. So what I would consider doing is if I was working with a business that did not have the luxury of being keyword rich, then I would start to look into possibly building out a microsite, okay? So start to look up things like St. Louis pest control, all right? And of course, these things are not gonna be available, like the .com likely won't be available, but you can start to add some variants in there. So St. Louis pest control is not available, so maybe we'll just try pest control St. Louis MO, okay? And that is available, all right? Which is beautiful. This is like a perfect exact match domain. And then I would actually build out the business name to also be just pest control St. Louis. And then I would get a Google business profile and I would build it up here. And I can tell you within a very short amount of time, as long as you got a good review generation process in place, you will start to perform very, very well. And I've proven this over and over across multiple verticals.
There's been a lot of debate on exact domains in the SEO industry, but I have to say, majority of the SEOs that have actually been on the show have mentioned that it does give a boost in rankings. I'm also a fan of exact domains and looking to build some ranking red sites very, very soon. How to create topical maps for your website. Let's check this out.
Building your topical map, you'll need a list of subtopics for your website. For example, if your website is about nutrition, you might want to list the different kinds of diets. So nutrition would be your website main topic, and the different diets would be subtopics. They may include the low-carb diet, keto diet, and any other type of diet. Next, come up with different keywords variations for each of these topics that addresses them in detail for every kind of reader. This will take some level of research on online forums, books, Google, and basically anywhere else that you can find some related information. For example, Quora and Reddit are goldmines to find questions your audience cares about. And don't overlook Google's autocomplete, the people also ask section, and related searches at the bottom of Google's search results. So, for example, you may come up with what is a keto diet, how to do a keto diet meal plans, is keto diet healthy, and so on. Repeat this process for each subtopic and you will end up with hundreds of keywords. But that doesn't mean you need to write hundreds of articles for each keyword. Some keywords belong in one article, like keto diet, meal plan, keto diet 7-day meal plan, and keto diet menu, while others like keto diet side effects or is keto diet gluten-free needs their separate pages.
Topical maps are the backbone of my SEO strategy. I mean, doing it manually can take a long time. You can try tools like Search Atlas to help generate maps. You can try Search Atlas for free. The link is in the description. Okay, Chris Palmer shares how CTR manipulation works for local SEO. Let's check this out.
This is Chris Palmer, and let me explain CTR for maps with a simple drawing. The key element, business owners, about CTR for maps is that it takes a lot of people. Let's run through the process. So of course, maps using chrispalmer.org, we're gonna ask you for some information, biz name, CID, location, keywords, and we're gonna add all the variations and the stuff that you missed. Every week, actually every business week, we're going to check your grids. This is my drawing of a grid. We're going to increase slowly your keywords, your variations, your brand keywords. It takes people to watch your campaign to know what to go up and what to go down as far as keyword traffic. We're going to continuously check grids. We're adding impressions. This is something your software cannot do unless you have another software. We're adding people searching for your business. People are looking for you without generating a click. It takes people.
CTR manipulation is a area that you need to have really good education on. So be sure to check out Agency Assassin if you want to check out more user engagement metrics increases. Okay, this brings me to my favorite part of the show. Please ask questions on the topic and I will address them in the order that they were received. But before we introduce our guest, here's a word from our sponsor. Dominate Google Maps like these businesses? Watch this. Struggling to get your business noticed on Google Maps? Imagine missing out on potential customers because they can't find you online. And the worst part? Competitors are getting all the attention. But what if you could turn all this around with just one simple tool? Meet Agency Assassin, the ultimate tool to boost your Google Maps rankings. Agency Assassin's SaaS platform improves engagement by performing user searches and finding your businesses. There's one user increasing their rankings in just 6 days. Agency Assassin offers improved engagements, visibility, and higher rankings on Google Maps. This software offers increased CTR, real-time engagement metrics, and unmatched visibility. Check it out now to transform your Google Maps presence and dominate your market in just days. Click the link below and get started and see the difference with this secret local SEO software. Edward served over 4,000 events across 7 countries. He's the inventor of 360 green screen. He's best in e-commerce, generating over $100,000. He's a die-hard SEO tester. He's a fully white hat and black hat trained. Please welcome the founder of Content Maxima, Edward Baker. Ed, my man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I've never had an intro like that. Thank you.
Love it, love it. Everyone, let's give a round of applause. Let's give a round of applause. All right, Ed, this is the first question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. In 1 minute or less, how does Ed get ranking on page 1 of Google?
It comes down to your entity, right? Your brand. You're trying to build a brand online, and that brand is associated to one of 3 things. It's associated to a specific keyword, like your top level service or product that you're going after, or it's associated to a geographic location, or it's associated to both of those things, right? You might be more specific. So depending on if you're, local or national, it's really just about associating your brand online. And then once you have that established, who you are, what you do, it's stacking that entity or getting that information as many places as you can so that the search engines understand who you are and what you do.
Love it, love it. First knowledge bomb of today. Let me rewind this quick. Hold on. Take us back to when you first got into SEO. How'd you first get into it?
Honestly, I was a small business owner, so I wanted to make more money online. I wanted to sell my products and services online, and I started hiring agencies, right? And I just would ask some questions. I'd say, hey, how does this work? Or can you show me what you're going to be doing? Like, what am I spending money on? And they could never get a straight answer. And that was really frustrating for me. Not that I'm a control freak, but, I would like to know where my money's going and what you're doing with your time, right? And no one could ever answer my questions. And I ask a lot of questions. I can probably be a little annoying with that sometimes. So, so I had to learn it for myself just because I just couldn't get straight explanations. And I think that's true for a lot of people. It's frustrating. So.
Love that. I feel like that's actually that gives SEOs a bad name, because what's wrong? You can explain everything to your client. You let them know what's going on, right? Just be open and be transparent, and you possibly could still have you as a client, right? So okay. So what actually made you interested in it? You could have learned other things, right? You could have did other things to promote anything, but why specifically SEO?
If I had a pile of cash, I think I probably would have become a paid ads guy, right? Because I would have said, hey, I got this money and I can go do things with it. But when you don't have that money, you got to do something, right? And so it was always the free things. Now, we all know that SEO is not entirely free, but in comparison to other things, it's far less expensive and it's more time consuming. But that's the trade-off. So at that point in my life, I just had more time, less, liquid capital. So I was training, learning, executing versus spending money.
Love it. And that's a perfect segue to learning it. How'd you actually learn it?
So I started off like anybody would learn anything. I actually went out and I bought a textbook. I think it was the Art of SEO textbook. It's 1,200 pages thick. You get it in college classes. And I read it front to back. And then I quickly realized okay, this is great, but there's so many other people out here with so many other pieces of information that are not in this book. So I joined, every Facebook group that there was, and I just started reading every day. So I changed my Facebook feed from friends and family and updates to basically micro learning.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
I constantly in between meetings or, on the train or, on a plane or whatever, I would be reading people's questions and answers and slowly learning that way and slowly finding some of the key players that I could then go out and read more, learn more about their content.
Love that. Okay, so what were some of your resources then, or who are some particular people that you actually followed that actually kind of helped you get to where you're at right now?
It's funny because I was looking around the US for a lot of experts and I felt like maybe some of the best SEOs weren't in the United States. They were outside the United States. So I found a couple people out of Australia, a couple people out of the UK. I guess one of the first ones I ever listened to was Matthew Woodward. He was just a straight shooter with testing. So I liked all the documentation he would do on his testing and, just started kind of going one by one through the different personality types that are out there and the way that they present their content and just absorbed for, 5 to 7 years, I'd say.
Love it. Okay, let's get into the topic of today. So, I want to get you guys. We're going to be talking about e-commerce, and especially we're going to talk also about e-commerce SEO. So, but can you provide an overview of how e-commerce has evolved to becoming synonymous with modern business? What does this mean to new entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think, in the SEO industry, in the digital marketing industry, we all put e-com in a bucket, right? It's this thing that you either do or you don't do. Hey, I'm a local SEO, or hey, I'm an affiliate marketer, or hey, I'm an e-com guy. But to the rest of the world, e-com is just business, right? It's just a digital transaction. So I think we all have to look at it, coming from the people who are not technical, who are on the outside of this industry, and we have to say, what are they thinking about? And I don't even know that they're acknowledging that, hey, I Venmo my friend. Well, that's an e-commerce transaction. There was no percentage, but it was, a push of funds between two people, or, almost anything, even booking appointments and stuff online now and using apps and everything. It's all e-commerce. So it's really just digital business. And I think that, it's going to be less e-commerce. It's just going to be more business. It's just business with a digital aspect to it.
Love that. So what are some key factors you feel that are contributing to the low barrier to entry to e-commerce, and how new businesses can leverage this opportunity?
Gosh, when I was trying to start, I was trying to hook PayPal buttons up onto like a WordPress site and hope that someone would click it and pay me money. The amount of tech that has come out over the past few years, right? Especially now with AI in the scene, but even before then, just, easy to use click and drag builders, the whole barrier of I have to know how to code, or I have to be an expert designer, or I have to have all these specialized skills. Those walls are just tearing down more and more every day. Like normal people who were never in the tech industry are now coming in, finding these tools, and they're giving the people who've been seasoned veterans in the industry a run for their money, because the tools are an equalizer. It's a easier playing field for everybody.
Got it. I love that. There we go. Okay, so I want to go. You also mentioned how like SEO is the foundation, PPC is like the catalyst, and SMA is like a reminder. Can you kind of create like explain how these elements work together and like for a successful e-commerce strategy?
Yeah, so that's my saying. That's what I've always said. SEO is the foundation. Pay-per-click advertising is the catalyst, and social media advertising is the reminder. Now, people might argue with pay-per-click and social media advertising that those are basically the same thing, which they are, because you have pay-per-click on one of these platforms. But you need that foundation. You need that, brand foundation, that sovereign property. A big thing that I always talk to clients and people about is maintaining your sovereignty. I mean, if I put my whole business on Instagram or Facebook and it goes down for the day, what am I doing? I'm losing money, right? So you have to maintain your sovereignty. You have to have that foundational, for your brand, your foundational start, and then you add things like the pay-per-click and the social media advertising. And again, it's the buyer psychology. If I can be found naturally, then from the buyer standpoint, that psychology, I'm in my need it now moment. I'm looking for things. How do I get more of a share? Well, I put ads when somebody's looking for something. In social, it's a different tactic, because you're in a different mindset. I'm checking out sports and videos and talking to friends, and I'm being interrupted. So I'm in a different mindset. I'm not, ready to buy per se. So there's different strategies. So that foundation's important. And then, getting organic is important when people need something, right? Versus kind of showing them something when they're in the middle of being entertained or just enjoying life.
Yep, love that. Okay, let's get into like the evolution of e-commerce now. How has like the adoption of the life cycle of e-commerce changed over the past decade? Like, I mean, what trends are trends that businesses should prepare for in the coming years?
So kind of just talking about like the digitalization of businesses, is digital transformation, us trying to take what's in the physical world and getting it online to interact with it easier, more efficiently, be able to do more. Really, it's an innovation cycle, right? So if we look at like transactions, back in 2010, like 4% of all transactions were happening online, which isn't that much. But as the years have progressed here, more and more transactions are going online, more and more people are going online. So it was projected like 2025 that 32% of all transactions would be online. But there's a factor in there that we didn't think about. No one thought it was coming. COVID. COVID was an accelerator for more people getting online. You had these mom and pop businesses who've been around for 100 years, right? Families and generations that run restaurants and things like that. They had to go online. They had to start using QR codes. They had to digitize during that period of time. It forced them. So we had like, arguably a 10-year crunch of adoption that would have been much slower, that was forced because of COVID.
Love that. Okay, so I mean, let's get into like starting an e-commerce business. I mean, I think there's one that you actually kind of like talk about in depth, which is I believe on-demand, print on demand, and on-demand manufacturing for new e-commerce businesses. And how can you implement these models effectively?
Sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are always, thinking, hey, if I'm going to do e-com, I have to do this big like product catalog site. And I think it's the wrong way to look at it. I think what you need to do if you want to get into e-commerce right now, you need to find a creator, a source for something. Could be a product, could be a service. You yourself don't actually physically have to do it, right? You just have to find someone who's very good at creating, because those creators actually hate to do their marketing. They love to create. They don't want to be bothered with, being burdened with social and content and all this stuff. They just want to be in their shop pumping these things out. So if you can cut a deal with somebody who can build you something on demand or create you something on demand, you can then white label that, mark that up, sell that, and you don't have all the risks you would with traditional e-com, because you're not buying thousands of units. You're not trying to have a warehouse space. You're not burdened by all these other taxing things and costs, where I can just say, hey, my buddy over here makes this thing and it's fantastic, and resell it as my own, or even just sell it on behalf of him and keep him the brand. It just really depends on the arrangement that you make. But yeah, white labeling e-commerce, finding a creator and flipping their goods or services as your own, I think is the best place to start. It's the lowest risk and it's the highest reward.
Love that. Okay, so talk about white label. What about drop shipping? I mean, like, can you explain the advantages and disadvantages of white label products versus, drop shipping, and how business can, decide between going which route they want to go to?
Yeah, so I think with like white label, you have much more of an opportunity to create customized goods, right? So like one of the industries that I've worked in a lot is like print on demand or manufacture on demand, because I can go to that creator and I can say, hey, like, I see you build this type of thing here already. Can we change a couple things, right? Okay. You get a custom quote from them. Hey, if you'll change these couple things, it's black, I need it white. It's red, I need it blue. It's tall, I need it small. Whatever you tell them, if they're willing to do it, you can create that minimum viable product, that repeated transaction type that you can just constantly sell over and over and over again. So the reason I love custom manufacturing, custom on demand, is I'll have a customer come to me and say, hey, can you build me this thing? And I'll say, great, but one of the rights that I'm going to reserve is, if I build this for you, I'm going to take some pictures of it and then I'm going to list it back online as a product that I sell. Because I've made it for you and someone else might want it. So that digital inventory, or that custom inventory, can build out your e-com library. And again, you don't have the risk of having all this physical stuff in stock. You just have the blueprint, the plans, and the evidence that you can actually produce what you're going to say you're going to make them. Got
it. So when it does that, so is that something you're working with someone where like drop shipping, like they would send it out for you, or what are some?
So then they can drop ship it on behalf of you, right? So traditional drop shippers, I feel like, are either running through major suppliers, or they have some sort of like API automations to these big warehouses overseas. A lot of people are obviously shipping in goods from China, just because that's a huge source of manufacturing, and they're doing thousands and thousands of products at a time. And that's just one way to look at e-com. The way I'm telling people to look at it is more of a boutique, but it's making sure that whatever brand, whether it's someone who carries tens of thousands of products that you're shipping out, or whether it's the local table, maker, carpenter down the street who ships out tables on your behalf, shipping it as you, or putting your branding on it, or more importantly, just stripping their branding off. If it's generic, that's just fine. You don't need to customize it.
Love that. Okay, so you've worked with a ton of clients, and you've actually figured out the most profitable states for e-commerce. I'm curious, what are those states, and why are certain states more profitable in e-commerce?
So why they're more profitable, I think probably just comes to their actual market, their market, right? Like the state of California is bigger than many countries, right? Yeah. They're massive. So speaking of those states, New York, California, Utah, Texas, Pennsylvania, Florida, those are 6 of the powerhouse states. If you're selling stuff online, you're starting off, you're trying to cut the fat, I would advertise or target those states, because you have a lot of people there, right? A lot of population and a lot of money and bigger markets, bigger cities. So those states have been very profitable and great places to start for anybody.
Excellent.
I love that. I didn't think about that. So I was thinking it's a great place to start a e-commerce business, those states that you're talking about. But it's actually a great place to target people, because they're so dense, and they're you'll cut the fat or cut the waste of spend if you're doing let's say paid ads, right?
Yeah, if you're looking to incorporate, then I would look at Nevada, Wyoming. Florida's pretty good, but you can just look up the states that are most flexible with an LLC or an S corp creation. Yeah. That's
that. Nevada's was where my office is at. All right, so there we go. Love it, guys. There's a little quick business tip for you guys. All right, so I want to go. Let's get into some SEO stuff. Let's go talk about image SEO. All right, so like image SEO is something that you believe in. Why should e-commerce businesses avoid cataloging images, and what types of images are most effective for increasing average order value?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people who do these catalog e-com sites, they get a bunch of materials that were produced by the manufacturer or the distributor or whatever. They take those photos verbatim, they put them up
Oh
online,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
hope, hey, I'm going to make $1 million. The problem with it is Google not only is reading your text, it's reading your images these days. It can find entities in the images. It understands what goods are, and it's going to credit someone else with that image being the original source. You're not going to get the same amount of SEO impact, right? Because it's not a unique image. So you need to uniqueify your images. And a lot of those quick tips I can give you would just be, you know, skinning the face of it, adding your branding, changing the orientation, like mirroring or zooming in or collaging an image, right? Just making it different enough that now the bots are not looking at it as, oh, hey, yeah, that stock photo, 3 million people have used that, you know, giving you that unique edge. So that's a huge advantage for people.
That's not one. Yep.
Yeah, and then I guess like those other resources that are not necessarily like a product image. We all know that there's like hero images and lifestyle images, but really, you know, you could do before and after if you're doing a product or service. You know, does it whiten my teeth? How white are my teeth before and after? Or you know, the sizing charts, any other resources that you can give people. Those images are a great way to pack in the information. So all of the stuff that you hear SEOs talk about, name, address, phone number, URL, top level keywords, any of those things, get them in your images because those will be recognized and it will help you get a lot more out of your image SEO.
Love that. Let's go further into image SEO. Like, I mean, so what are some like you talk about like, you know, like getting the entities and in images. I mean, like, what are some other things that, you know, we should be ideas that we should be using for images?
You know, I think getting your images not just on your site, but these other platforms. I mean, I think like, you know, old school Flickr, people are still sleeping on Flickr. It's super reputable. Sharing your images up in Flickr, up in the Google Cloud, getting it on Pinterest, you know, Instagram, any of these visual platforms, just making almost like an image distribution network. You know, there's even some potential of doing some like RSS type feeds and publishing across different platforms. There's all this new automation. You have like IFTTT and Zaps and all these new AI automations that are coming out, just trying to, hey, when I post an image here, distribute it, get it out to these other places so that you get more impressions and more people coming to you. So I think that's a huge image tip for you.
Love that. And that actually, like, if you go onto these other networks, you're actually getting some referral traffic, right, from all these places to your site, which is great for also SEO there. So I want to get into, speaking of Pinterest and other stuff, social proof. Social proof is something that you actually talk about, and I want to talk about like how can e-commerce businesses leverage social proof and user generated content to boost SEO and conversion rates.
So we go back to the buyer psychology, right? A lot of people, you know, save up for something that they really want. And, you know, I think we've all been there where it's like, I'm clicking for something on Amazon or I'm buying something that I saved up for. And it's almost like this like ecstasy release when you finally get to click the buy button. A lot of shoppers are, you know, debating, you know, all different products. They're checking reviews. Really what it comes down to is people don't like to shop alone. Like, you know, I don't want to speak men and women because I'm sure guys and girls do go out together shopping, but like it's a social thing. It's not just an individual thing. Like, you know, people go to malls together and, you know, they go in and out of dozens of stores, not just one at a time. So I think there's a social aspect that's just built into us, probably from like hunting and gathering, right? Like we're all going out to find the best berries. We're shopping for the best berries. It's just in our DNA. So having someone there reassuring me that I'm making a good decision, it's so much easier to click that buy button. So getting that social proof right near the add to cart, whether it's a static image or whether it's now there's all these cool apps like popping up a user generated video being like, hey, I just bought this and it's awesome. You should definitely try it too. You know, right there. Right at that button, that's where you're going to see the most impact because it'll raise your sales or your conversion rate 5 to 34%, depending on the industry, just by having social proof next to that add to cart button.
Love that. Love it. So right next to add to cart button. Great tip right there. So I'm curious now.
Buy button. Yeah.
A buy button. Yeah. So I want to, search intent is something that I'm a big believer in. Like I just even put out a video on like, you know what, that's optimizing for search intent is important when it comes to SEO. I mean, for at least for enterprise businesses, but you feel like search intent for e-commerce SEO is just as important. Like, so how can like businesses optimize their content to match like user intent?
So I would go backwards with user intent, right? So like my product pages and listings, like I'd be looking for the people who are like hot to buy. Like I want to buy red carpet, I want to buy high heels, I want to buy, like, format your pages that way. But then when you get into your content strategy, you have to do all those other intents, right? Because sometimes people are looking for informational items, right? They're not always looking for transactional items. So I would kind of build the foundation of your e-com site to target those transactional terms and those commerce terms. And then your content side of things, you're going to target the informational. So intent is huge, and more importantly too, long tail keywords, right? Because if my wife goes on the internet to buy a pair of high heels, she can't possibly just type in, red high heels. She has to say red high heel, size 7, 2.5 inch heel, not too tall. Like, she has to put all these other attributes for her case for it to be personalized to her. So I think those long tail keywords actually apply more so in e-com than they do in any other form of SEO.
Got it. So when it comes to, like, let's say long tail, or like when you say, let's go back to with intent, like, are you optimizing your product pages for all intent, or are you separating, like, are you, like, your informational stuff, your blog, and then more transactional stuff on the actual product pages?
There has to be core information on that product listing pages. So there has to be informational stuff. Otherwise, there's no way you're going to fall into the mix and be in the top of SERPs, right? Because these robots, search engines, have an expectation that you should know a certain amount of that product or service. But if you're going to get more into the obscure, case scenarios, all your evergreen type content for sales, those can be their separate pages. But so you do need that core on the actual product page. And I'm more prone to put more information than less, because if you go look at one of these major online retailers, like in Amazon, or you go to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or a Walmart, like they have a lot more information than you think is in there, because they're nesting it in tabs and they're adding it in pop-up videos and other places. So there's a lot more there to be digested by the search engines than you might think just looking at that page, because usually it's just a product, a couple stars, and a button, but there's more to it.
Love that, guys. And I feel like, the tabs and accordions and stuff like that is something that, I see that, e-commerce is always well known for doing that, but, you can actually incorporate that into non-e-commerce sites and kind of like incorporate and get those extra words. And I think if a lot of designers like this, because it's, when it comes to designing pages, they hate text, like having all kinds of text on pages. So I mean, yes, accordion and tabs, guys, great way to increase your SEO for e-commerce. So while we're on topic talking pages, what's one of the most important pages in e-commerce are category pages, right? I mean, so what are some of the best practices for ranking, like, category pages, and how can a business ensure, like, proper information and the hierarchy of these categories?
Sure. So a lot of people, there's a huge debate in SEO industry, especially. Should I try to index and rank my category page or should I not? And I think it's definitely another net, right? Because, for example, I know a lot about the event industry, event carpet, for example. My category page of carpet runners speaks to multiple types of carpets, right? That's a different intent than if I say, hey, I want that red carpet or that blue carpet or that pink carpet. So those individual pages being a part of that bigger topic, I mean, that is that informational hierarchy that we all talk about. And it is essential to allow that category page to exist on its own. Now, to your point, designers, a lot of people hate, oh gosh, there's too much text in order to rank a category page. This is when I'm going to tell you, you can hide your bodies in your basement, put it way down below your product listing. So it's still on the page. It's still being considered by search engines and robots, but it's maybe visually not getting in the way of the customer's experience unless they scroll all the way down. I'm not saying hide it in a place that's not usable, but I'm just saying if it's something that's an eyesore for you, push it down well below the fold. You can bury it down there and you don't have to worry so much.
Love that. Great tip right there, guys. Okay, so I wanted to go, let's talk about your content strategy. I mean, because I know I kind of mentioned a blog and possibly separating out intent, but you're saying, like, we should actually, the page should actually answer all pages so we can show up for all these searches. But I mean, can you elaborate more on the importance of actually an evergreen content strategy for e-commerce that provides some examples, of like some of this content that you create?
Totally. So whatever industry and whatever niche you're in, come up with like the top 10 questions that you always get asked from a sales standpoint, right? It could be something as simple as how long is the shipping, or it could be, what do I do if it rains, or whatever it is that applies to your product or service. And get those out of the way. Is what I mean by that is like write articles, create the resources to support those articles, because those are your evergreen barriers, right? Like it is annoying to have to continuously explain the same thing to a customer over and over and over again. So if I can alleviate, those very common FAQs and get rid of like the most popular 10 and give people that information, then not only is it a content strategy, but it frees up customer support, because, hey, you need to know how this works. Oh yeah, we have this great article or guide or video or whatever content format you're putting it in, but you get rid of those 10, really critical questions that are constantly clogging up your pipeline. So that would be the very first place I would go to make the most impact, because it's not just going to make impact for e-com, it's going to make impact for your operation. It's going to free up your time.
Yep. Love that. Okay, so another tactic you do. I know this is not like particularly SEO, but you do email marketing too, right? Like that's. I mean, I think every e-commerce should have some type of email sequence that goes out to promote things. I mean, like how important is email marketing for e-commerce? Like what are some strategies that you've seen done?
So I'm guilty at not being the best email marketer, but I know it's critically important. And there's a couple things that are super important. The first one is the idea of the whole abandoned, cart, right?
Yeah.
You can set up in a lot of these platforms now just a reminder that says, hey, Ed, you forgot that product that you were going to buy. Come back. Don't forget to actually make the purchase.
Yeah.
So that's a huge advantage that increases. I mean, you'll have like 40% open rates and you'll have 10% more conversions just by that one email alone. So you have to put that in, because if that's 10% of your sales, that's huge. Then drip campaigns, I think the most important thing to drip for the customer is just set their expectations. Hey, you ordered this, we got the request, thanks so much. It's going to be 5 days before this ships out. Or, hey, we just shipped it out, tracking number email will come in 2 more days. So I think it's your opportunity to paint a sequence of expectations for the customer, which gives them a good experience, reduces your customer service, burden, and then, also just keeps them informed and builds a reputation with them. And the most important email after a purchase, I think, if you're not going to do anything, you need to ask for those reviews, because we know how critical those are.
Love that. So I want to go. You actually mentioned platforms, because this is actually something like. Are there certain type of platforms that you feel are SEO friendly that work really well for SEO for e-commerce?
I think everybody's caught up in platforms and they have to stop, because I think what it comes down to is every single one of us now, because there's so many tech options, we're all going to have different tech stacks. We're all going to have different setups. No two e-com businesses are going to run the same. You might both say, hey, we really like this thing or that thing. But ultimately, when we look at, if you go in and consult for somebody, there's no two e-com businesses that are running exactly the same. They might have a lot of the same technologies, but you just have to get over the platform, because almost anything can rank. And there's a lot of platforms that get a lot of hate for SEO, and they shouldn't, because almost anything can rank. I don't think it's the platform anymore. I think it's your information design. I think it's your technical on page, it's your off page, and more importantly, it's the brand data you build, right? If you build a great brand, you could be on the worst e-com platform, it could load super slow, and you could still be making millions of dollars because people love you.
Love that. Okay. So speaking of user experience, that's something that we all know. SEO, like user experience, and having that experience is will help searchers come back and just help us rank in generally. But I mean, so what are some key user experiences enhancements that you use in your e-commerce sites and for clients?
So, I mean, remember the device you're on, and is it, if you're on your phone, you're a lot happier, I think, scrolling than you are if you're on your desktop, right? But I think in general, people are kind of over the endless scroll, unless you're on social. I think when it comes to buying a product, like you need the information you need right up front in your face, and you need to be able to make the decision right then and there. Because if you have to go down any further, that experience starts to wear. It causes fatigue on the user, and we all know our attention spans are not what they used to be. So I would try to, I guess, discourage scrolling unless you have to. And anybody who's more interested, they're the ones who are going to scroll, right? Because as I get more and more into it, I think I'm going to buy this, but I need more info. That's when I'm going to keep going down. So it's almost like a inverse pyramid where, just have a few things up top and get to the nitty gritty, fine details further and further and further down that page. So how that page is set up is a big one. And then, there's other things you can do with customers, like I said, setting their expectations and emails and giving them like one-time offers, right? Like trying to up your AOV and, average order value for those that don't know, and just, sending them to a quick splash page in between their checkout and giving them that one-time offer can make a huge increase on revenue for you. So just pay attention to devices and how people use those devices, and then your platforms too, because if some of your people are coming from social, obviously they're going to be more likely mobile than on desktop. So.
Love that. Okay, let's get into like the technical part of SEO, like schema markup, right, for example. Let's say is schema markup something that you do for your clients? I mean, some people think like schema markup is whatever, but I mean I love schema markup. I mean, how do you use schema markup in e-commerce?
Schema is critical for your brand, and this is where SEOs just don't understand it, because you're in one silo, right? If you think just SEO, I'm worried about all these things. Schema doesn't do all that much. It doesn't move the needle for me. I don't get these huge ranking increases, so I'm not going to do it. Or hey, I have this plugin quick, and I'm just going to let it auto generate stuff, and I'm not going to put the time into it. But what you have to realize is it's your opportunity to connect your brand's digital assets, right? So one of the biggest factors in schema is like a same as attribute, right?
Okay,
you'll see you can claim your social media profile. So some of you out there have a brand or a website where like your Instagram or Facebook is above your website.
Oh yeah.
No way. I go back to that sovereignty lesson that I gave earlier. You want sovereignty. You want to be first, and then Facebook, and then Instagram, and you can make that swap happen very easily just by in schematic architecture saying, hey, that's my Facebook page, that's my Instagram, that's my Pinterest, because now it organizes your brand data and it realizes, hey, this is the brand and these are the assets of the brand. So that's the number one way that schema helps. But second to that, especially for ecom, you have Q&A schema. So if people have specific questions about your product or service, that's a huge opportunity to put on the individual product pages. And then how-to schemas, because you give tutorials sometimes, right? You got this new product, I got to set it up or whatever. There's a how-to schema that you can get a snippet for that will work wonders. So if you get some Q&As, you get some how-tos, and then you've trained the bots about your brand, right? And all of the assets that encompass your brand, it's so much easier to be recommended because you're actually drawing the lines between the dots for the robot.
Love it. Okay, guys, I'm coming close to my last few questions here. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the live chat, and I will try to address them in the order that they are received. But go ahead and ask them in the live chat if you have any. But I want to get right into like more of some other aspects of e-commerce, right? Let's talk about like shipping options. Shipping options, like FedEx, UPS. Can you provide some tips on how businesses can save costs on shipping?
Yeah, so shipping is tough, right? Because I'm in the United States. I have some customers outside the States who would like our products, but it gets difficult because I typically deal in oversized goods. So I have freight, I have customs, I have border agents, I have all sorts of stuff that I have to go through. So it makes it limited. Whereas if you're like a drop shipper, one of these catalog websites, and everything's coming out of China, it's super easy for China to ship basically anywhere in the world. And there's not the same level of tariffs, whereas if you're shipping out of the US to somebody, there's horrendous tariffs, and a lot of things can come back and fall on you. So you have to compare like the FedEx and the UPS, the DHL, and a lot of these private freight companies. You have to get options. And so there are a lot of companies out there now that offer like brokerage services for small businesses. There's chambers and associations you can join where you'll get special discounted rates. So for example, I belong to one of those associations. I'm not going to say who it is, so don't ask, please, but you get a discounted rate by being a member of that organization. So now, I save 30% on my shipping costs. So it's a great way to really put more profit back in your pocket. And if you are shipping international, just be careful of taxes, duties, and fees. And there are providers, for example, like FedEx will act as a customs or clearance agent at the border, where UPS may not. So you have to see how they'll take your product across different countries, because there's a lot of laws and regulations in it. But you can save a ton of money if you can join an association that has a nice shipping discount. I highly suggest that.
Love it. And of course, the most important thing in, I believe, in e-commerce is payments, right? Getting your payment processing is one of the, I guess, probably the most, you got to get paid, guys. You got to get paid. So I want to make sure what are some efficient and secure credit card processors that e-commerce businesses should consider, and why the payment processing is important in this whole customer journey?
So first and foremost, I would just tell you need more than one. And the reason you need more than one, it drives me crazy. If you ever been in a restaurant, they lose power and they're like, oh, sorry, like we can't take your card or something. Like, you need the ability, if one of your tech goes down, to have another tech to run to so that you get that sale. So you don't want to miss it. So I would tell people you have to have multiple processors. The big ones obviously are like Stripe, PayPal, Square. There's a lot of these merchant services you can get through your bank, whatever bank you have your business in. They'll give you specialized rates, but it comes down to what's going to work with your tech stack. Can you implement it? Can you use their API? How secure is it? Do they allow you to have some control and rules and stuff? Like Stripe, for example, lets you set some guidelines. So like if the zip code doesn't match the street address, I can reject that order, even if it might be valid, so that it doesn't fall back on me, the vendor, because I've had lots of fraud. You have to assume 1% of all transactions online are fraudulent at this point in time. So if you have 100 orders in your store, one of those is going to be fraud. And that's if you have just basic security. If you up it a little bit, you can of course fix that number. But you want control, because I'll tell you what, the payment processors are nicest to the customers and themselves. As the vendor, they're going to be really hard on you, and you're going to wind up eating a lot of fees and a lot of things that you don't want to. So you have to really check into them and the benefits that they provide. And some of them are better for like international. For example, PayPal, right? They'll protect you worldwide with your transactions. Some of these other ones are starting to do that, but haven't always done that. So just look at what they truly offer beyond the percentage points, because people get caught up in that. You know what? They're going to take a part of your sale. It's just the way life is. We all use credit cards. It's going to be that way no matter what. So.
All right. Yes, sir. Okay, so I wanted to, and guys, Stripe, they also actually, if we were talking about setting up corporations, and if you want to set up a business, start a business right away, Stripe has something called Stripe Atlas for anyone that wants to start a business really quickly. Go to check out Stripe Atlas to set up your business online as soon as possible. Okay, so I haven't seen any questions come in from the audience here, so I want to ask the last question that I always ask all my SEO professionals that come on here, is that if someone wants to get into the SEO game, become an SEO professional themselves. I mean, I know you just got in, you also got into what is that one piece of advice that you can give them?
So if you want to get into SEO, the way you want to get into it is through natural language processing and entity-based SEO. There's two tools you can go out there and look at that Google themselves provide for free. They blew my mind. That's what got me really into SEO. I guess now I'm answering this. I should have answered it before, but you can look up Google natural language processing, and you can look up Google Vision. Google Vision allows you to upload an image and see what it thinks of it. The natural language processing demo allows you to put text in, and you can see what it thinks of it. And again, it's going to break everything down into entities, catalog and categorize those entities, prioritize those entities. So the name of the game is entities. And if you look around in the world, you're driving down the freeway if you're out west, or the highway if you're over here in the east. We call it different things. But if you see that HVAC truck or that tree removal company or that dog washer or whatever it is, they have their brand, they have those entities, the geolocations they service, those top level keywords of the services or products that they provide. Those are all entities, and they become part of your brand data. So start without any of the fancy tools. Just get the opinion from Google itself with their NLP and their Google Vision.
Love it. Okay, so for this episode to feel complete for you, Ed, any last comments, and how can people get a hold of you?
So you can get a hold of me. I have a personal site. It's edwardabaker.com. If you want to email me, ed@edwardabaker. It's my full name with the middle initial A. So you can get me there. And would you say how they want to get in touch with me and anything else I want to give them advice-wise?
Any comments? You want to say hi to your mom?
If you are an ecom SEO out there, I'd love to meet you, because there's not a lot of ecom specific SEO people, and I think it's a really a niche that needs to be explored. So I'd love to meet you if you do ecom SEO. Drop me a line at edwardabaker.com.
Love it. Everyone, let's give a round of applause. All right, Ed, can you hold on for one quick second? Hold on for one quick second while I sign off here. Hold on.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And don't forget to visit our sponsors. Go to SEOrockstars.net and agencyassassin.com. Till next time, I will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!